Is San Antonio the right place for you to call home? Here are some reasons why people are deciding to leave the Alamo City and what you need to know before you make your move. Hey y'all, my name is Brock and I'm a real estate agent right here in San Antonio, Texas, and I help folks just like you buy and sell homes all over San Antonio and the surrounding areas. So if you're looking to make a move in the next few days, or maybe it's in the next few months, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I have all my contact information down below. But with that out of the way, I wanted to get to what I'm sharing with you today. See, the Alamo City, or San Antonio as most people know it, is a very charming city full of culture and opportunity, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows here, and unfortunately some people find out the hard way. See, over the last few years of being a real estate agent and helping several people move to San Antonio, Texas from places like the West Coast, the East Coast, and everywhere in between, and even a few foreign countries here to the Alamo City, these folks are deciding that after the fact, the city of San Antonio isn't quite what they expected and is not for them at all. And I'm going to be sharing with you the top reasons that I find a lot of people are deciding to leave San Antonio. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Now, the first and the biggest reason why a lot of people decide to leave San Antonio is the fact that they just made a mistake moving here in the first place. See, there's a lot of information out there on the internet. There's a lot of buzz, in fact, too, about reasons why people are moving to San Antonio. It is the 7th largest city in the country, and it has a population of about 1.5 to 2 million people. There are a lot of job opportunities here, and so a lot of people see that information and decide to move here. But when they get to the city and actually live and immerse themselves in the city, they find out they made a mistake. One of the biggest mistakes here is the fact that people get here and they figure out that it's just too hot for them to live. A lot of the folks I've helped in the past have come from like the West Coast, where it's a little bit more of a mild climate, or maybe the Pacific Northwest, where maybe it's a little bit cooler and wetter of seasons than compared to the San Antonio area. See, our summers here usually range from like the high 90s to the low 100s. Oftentimes there's a lot of humidity that is accompanied with that, and top it off with pretty much no rainfall at all during the summer. We have some pretty drought-like conditions, and the summers around here can be quite a lot if you're not used to and acclimated to the weather. See, I've lived in San Antonio for the last 20 years and I've lived in Texas my entire life, so I'm pretty acclimated to the summers, even though it is still pretty hot and unbearable at times, but I just go with it. It's something I'm used to. But I have had clients in the past that, moved from the Pacific Northwest specifically. They got here, spent a summer here, and they're like, hey Brock, I'm tapping out. It's just too hot for me and I'm going to move back to the Pacific Northwest where I'm used to that climate and everything out there. So our summers are pretty hot. In fact, our winters are pretty mild as well. I am recording this at the beginning of the year here, so we're in January when I'm filming this video, and we just went through the Christmas holidays, and in fact the temperatures haven't dropped yet in December. I mean, it was about 75-ish degrees on Christmas Day. A couple days after that we hit a record high of like 81 degrees here at the end of December. So we do have some pretty warm winters. Now, not all of our winters are that warm, where we do have some of them that are a little bit cooler depending on when the cold front's coming through. In fact, we do have a cold front coming in a few days from me filming this video, so it is going to cool things down into like the 40s, which is pretty normal, but we do warm back up pretty quickly as well. Usually in March, April timeframe, we're already back in like the high 70s, so the 80-degree temperatures, and then it warms up from there and off into the summer. So it is pretty hot around here. Now, on top of the heat that a lot of people don't like, another one of the mistakes that people just don't understand about the city is just the traffic. Now, you can reasonably say, hey, it is a large city. It's the 7th largest one that you just mentioned, so there should be a lot of traffic, but there is a lot of traffic. I have a client that moved on into one neighborhood, and their job is only about 10 miles away from where they live, but with the traffic, their job takes about 35 to 40 minutes to even commute to work there during the peak traffic hours. In fact, that is a common complaint around here, is the fact that their roads aren't big enough to deal with all of the traffic, and I would have to agree. I try to avoid those peak rush hour traffic times of like 7:30 to about 9 o'clock in the morning, and then again from like 3 until like 6. I try to avoid those times as much as possible, just because there is so much traffic. The roads can't handle the amount of vehicles on them, just because there are not enough lanes to accommodate everything. Top that off with the fact that there's a lot of construction happening right now. I mean, all of our major highways right now at the time of me filming this video are under construction, and as they're widening them to actually try to accommodate some more of the traffic here, so there's just a lot of congestion on the roadways. And then top that off with the fact that there are just bad drivers in San Antonio. And so when you start mixing these things together, you've got some bad drivers, you've got a lot of cars on the road, and you've got roads that aren't big enough to accommodate all of the traffic. It just asks for a lot of traffic. So just know, no matter which area of San Antonio you're moving to, you're going to run into traffic somewhere, and it's going to take you a little bit to get there. The city of San Antonio has been growing fairly rapidly over the last 5 to 10 years, and the roads, unfortunately, just have not kept up to help meet the demand. Now, on top of this, a lot of people do come from areas where there is a a good public transportation system, and San Antonio is not one of those. So that is another reason that people do not like the city of San Antonio. When you start comparing us to other areas where maybe there is like railways or subways or some sort of train system or mass transit system, San Antonio really doesn't have that at all. Now here in San Antonio, we do have a city bus system where they will obviously have their bus routes, but when you get out into the suburbs and outskirts of San Antonio where a lot of the folks live, there's not as many options when it comes to riding a city bus, and they don't necessarily go to exactly where you need them to go to. So I know there's been a lot of talk by the city on how to solve this problem and make it easier, but for now, most people have to rely on their own personal vehicles to get around to wherever they need to go. All right, so making a mistake because it's too hot, there's a lot of traffic, or whatever those other reasons that we just covered are, is pretty good, but what is another reason that I see people leaving? And this one might surprise you just a little bit, but it's actually kind of related to the home prices here in San Antonio. Now, I know what you're thinking. A lot of people move to San Antonio because it has a lower cost of living, and I'm not disputing that fact at all. Now, here in Bexar County, where the city of San Antonio resides, the median sales price of a home is about $280,000, whereas the average sales price is a little bit higher. It's about $370,000. Those home prices are actually a lot lower than the other major cities here in the state, and overall in the state of Texas, the median sales price is about $335,000. So you can see, compared to the rest of the state, we're actually lower in price, and that is a good thing, and that's what attracts a lot of people to the city. However, the one big driving factor of pushing people out of the city of San Antonio is also the property taxes here, right? Now, I know in some states they have higher home prices, but their property taxes are lower. Here in the city of San Antonio, and depending on where you're buying a house at, you can expect a tax rate of anywhere between about 1.8% to about 2.6% of your tax assessed value, and that can really add up to a large tax bill that you have at the end of the year. So that is one reason a lot of people are leaving the city and maybe moving outside of the city limits where the tax rate is a little bit lower, and we're going to find those sub 2% tax rates that I just mentioned. So even though our home prices are lower, they are still steadily increasing over time here in the city, and so it's just making it a little bit more unaffordable for some folks. So with that, a lot of people are actually moving away from the city of San Antonio and actually moving to the suburbs around San Antonio or just outside of the city limits, where people are going to be finding those lower tax rates and the lower prices of homes. Some of the areas, such as Castroville, Seguin, the south end of San Antonio, St. Hedwig, Lavernia, all of these areas, and a few in between there, they do have lower priced homes in a lot of cases, and with that, a lower tax rate, at least for the time being. And so with that, people are being able to get the same or more house for a little bit lower payment. So some people aren't necessarily leaving San Antonio specifically for another major city or state, but they're just moving away from San Antonio specifically to one of the suburbs where they're able to save a little bit more money or have their money go a little bit further for the housing that they desire. And now I'd like to share with you the final reason why people are leaving San Antonio. And this reason is out of necessity, right? Things happen in life where people have a big need that they have to leave the city of San Antonio. Now, San Antonio is known as Military City USA, and with that, we have 3 active military bases here. So you can imagine that a lot of our population are active duty military as well as veterans, but I want to speak specifically on the active duty folks. Now, of course, we all know that the military tends to move a lot, and so with that, we do have a number of active duty military folks who will move here for any number of years until they are forced to move out to their next base to fulfill their military obligations, and so they'll be moving, and that is of course just out of necessity there, right? Some other reasons that I do see people leave is maybe they've taken a new job or a job promotion, right? Back before I got into real estate, my boss at the time at my IT company that I was working with, they actually took promotion within the company, but they had to move to another office location in another state. And so I do see that happen quite a bit, as we do have some headquarters locations here. We've got some big offices for some very large companies all around San Antonio. So I do see that where we have professionals here in whichever industry they are working in, and they take a job promotion or a new job at another company, and they are forced to relocate to be, fulfilling those duties of that new role that they have taken on. Another reason I've seen people leave San Antonio is just simply to be closer to family, right? There are a lot of people that have family all over the country, and so maybe, a life event happens where maybe they need to be closer to family, whether, they have some aging parents, or maybe they have a new child that they brought into their family, and so they want to be closer to their family so that they can be raised with, their cousins or aunts, uncles, whatever it may be. But that is a big reason that drives people to leave San Antonio as well. Well, these are all the reasons that I wanted to share with you why I see people are leaving San Antonio, but I want you to comment down below and let me know what reasons did I miss. If you were previously living in San Antonio, or you're thinking about leaving the city of San Antonio, what are these reasons that are driving you to leave and move away from San Antonio? Drop those comments below. I would love to see it. But regardless, if you're thinking about moving to San Antonio, or maybe you're even thinking about moving moving away from San Antonio and you want some help finding the perfect house or getting rid of the house that you already have, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I've got all of my contact information down below, and I would love to be of service to you and help you find that perfect home, or even make sure that you are well taken care of and getting your current house sold so that you can move on to the next chapter of your life there. So with that out of the way, I really do appreciate each and every one of you for watching the video today. If you haven't already, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up and like this video. And while you're there, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon so that you won't miss the next video that I post. I can't wait to see you guys in the next video.